Hey, I have to use this opportunity to say some words about my big Uncle Malcolm, or as we called him back in the 70s and 80s, Uncle Butch. Man, I don't know where to begin, but I can tell you that if I had to choose one thing that Uncle Malcolm most impressed me about, it was that you can take your abilities and you can turn them around to profit from them instead of being set back. He would say you got to capitalize to maximize, and you got to maximize to gain your enterprise. That was the biggest thing he shared with me back in all throughout the years. He would say to me, nephew, I've always had finesse, and it's been true as far as I know. He has inspired me. He has been an example of a solid man. Uh, what he set his mind to, he usually accomplished, as far as I know. Um, my favorite memories started probably when I sat down with him as an adult in '97, all the way till I last spent time with him back in 2020, which is come sit down and watch a movie with me. Some old movie, uh, Hollywood classic. And he would say, I want you to see this. He put his hands behind his head and fold and just cross one of his legs over and sit down on the ground and watch this movie. And what was so funny that happened in '97 and happened in 2020 was I would fall asleep after the second movie. So on the third movie, I would wake back up and I see him looking at me, smiling, and say, "Man, you don't want to miss this part." Every time, never failed. He could out movie me. I'm talking two, three movies in a row, and then listen to Jimi Hendrix. Uncle Malcolm was a avid artist. He was very insightful when it came to Hollywood entertainment, uh, music. He was versed. He was a Renaissance man. He had a strong understanding of what America was built from in what they call the classic era. So these are my favorite, most personal um, experiences with Uncle Malcolm. Besides his him being an avid businessman, which also influenced me, being such a successful businessman as an entrepreneur. That's been the pattern that I followed. I did college, graduated, followed patterns that were expected of me in the time that I was born, but I had that bloodline of a strong entrepreneurial sense of contracting, and that always influenced me. And it started back when Uncle Malcolm really influenced me after I got my degree. Anyway, I feel good about this opportunity to say these words, and it's a lot that you can learn from him. He was a man that reminded me of like a stone. He once told me in the last year I spent with him, I'm brash, nephew. I'm a brash individual, and there's a scripture that says, as iron sharpens iron, so does a man sharpen the countenance of his friend. And you know what iron is sharpened on? Like a wheel of stone, that a hard stone that just turns. And see, Uncle Malcolm, he'd take his train and he'd run it right into you, no matter who you were. If you spent time with him, to know him was to love him. So, uh, many people have their own experiences. The good thing about Uncle Malcolm is that your own experience is within your experience with him. He he was strong like that. So everybody had something pure, and something real strong. Never very seldomly something passive and weak. He had passion. So when he spoke with the depth of passion, and that's something that as much as I like to talk, that's something that he really was unique in, um, and that it commanded attention, and it was pleasant, to listen to him. He made sure you knew about Jimi Hendrix, and he'd flip it and give you many versions of the same stories, and it was so pleasant to hear him because it was like it was the first time all over again. So he'll say, "Oh, really, Uncle Mark? I like that." And he made sure he shared his knowledge of in the later years, which was 2020, the last year I got a chance to spend time with him. He was very into politics and very into the state of government and the political state of things. And all he watched was CNN and all of the things. And COVID, of course, hit, so he was very, very into that. And again, he also watched those movies, so he had plenty plenty of time in front of the TV when he was taking his hiatus from work because of COVID. So I had the opportunity to work with him in his real estate prime and also in his retirement. So he was very, very I don't know if I want to say careful about how he treated the COVID thing. I think he was just being realistic, because a lot of people, especially in that age group, passed away from the COVID. So he was real with me because it was new when we were together. And I spent 3 months at his house. So I just want to say that Uncle Malcolm goes back to Uncle Butch. He goes back to the era of big glasses and stacks and bell bottoms of Stevie Wonder and all that classic. That's my view of Uncle Malcolm, from when he was in California and he come home to visit, looking like a Hollywood star, and he influenced me, and he'll never be replaced. He was a one of a kind person. Everybody has that knowledge of that knows him. He had his own way of seeing things, and guarantee you were going to hear directly from the source. He didn't have to send it to someone else. He himself. And I think that was his special gift, to be able to demonstrate, a lot of what he spoke and believed in. He demonstrated, and he told me, he said, "Nephew, he said, you and Marlon, you guys are like, you book smart, but he said, I'm more fast afoot." Meaning I'll take your book smarts and I'll put them practically into use in this business mind I got. And he stood correct. He was sharp. He demonstrated a lot of things that a lot of people study, and he was able to share them in his own life naturally with that gift. He had that gift of prowess, business acumen, and Uncle Malcolm would never be undone. He was super competitive. These are the things that are principles that I was able to extract from, and so I'm thankful that I got a chance to spend time with him in Vegas in 2020. That was pretty much his last residence, as far as of his that he was at. I'd be remiss to mention how beautiful it was experiencing him at his home with his queen, my Aunt Harriet, and his children, my cousins, Maisha, Andre, Marlon, and the rest of the family, that came through, Kendall, everybody, Retta. Those were special at times too, in the 90s and early 2000s, that I got a chance to spend with him in LA. But for the most part, his life has been a indelible legacy of being independent minded. That being a person that stands on your feet and masters your destiny, as he would say. And those are my thoughts, man. About Uncle Mal. And love you, Unc. I know he's up there astroplaning, as he would say. He said, your mom, my sister, I loved her, man, but she's not here no more, man. She's astroplaning, nephew. So he's astroplaning. And he's making quite a streak wherever he is at all times. So this is my thoughts about Uncle Malcolm from his nephew, Eric. Love you.